So today we come full circle because a retro emulation device becomes nostalgic in and of itself. This is so cool because LITNXT sent me a Miyoo Mini with the new firmware, I think it's version 4, and they said to me, well, let's make it fun. Let's also show people how we make custom buttons as well. And so I did a little bit of Googling online and found something that I really liked. So I saw a device that someone had modded with these buttons. So let's have a look at the buttons quickly. And I said to them, I want it to be translucent, so see-through with a gold shimmer underneath. And so I think this is going to look really nice with the device underneath. They went back and forth with me on the color, and they gave me 2 samples even, and I said, okay, I like that gold. We've even got the function buttons here. And so the one gold was too yellow, the other gold was a bit more subdued, and so I went for the more subdued gold. So there we go. We have the gold buttons. So let's reveal my brand new Miyoo Mini. Now, if you don't know the Miyoo Mini, this thing caused up such a stir back in the day because they had limited stock. It was so difficult to get hold of one of these. I managed to randomly get one from Banggood, and I've had it ever since. I took it with me on an overseas trip even. It is a very special device. Now let's see what comes in the package here from LITNXT. Comes with the USB-C cable and comes with a little SD card reader to put your ROMs on. Okay, and it came with 120, so this is the 128 gig version on LITNXT. They have a few options there, I think. Recently I went on and they only had this version, which is fairly expensive. All right, so we've got our little Miyoo Mini man on there. And so I went for the see-through black. Now, I think this is going to look exceptional with gold buttons, don't you? Here's my original. You can't see on screen probably, but it's actually discoloring from so much use. So I want to quickly have a look. I'm sure people like Russ have done extensive comparisons of, version 1, version 2, and all the sorts of things. But I just want to see something. So let's have a look. So that one rattles like a box of matches. That one doesn't, so that's a big step forward. Slightly firmer, but this has also got a lot of wear and tear on it. The D-pad is still a nice D-pad. And then one thing I always griped about with the Miyoo Mini was the battery door, that it was very janky, and that I said it's going to eventually cause issues. I also had an issue with this type of, it's a hobbyist plug. I can't remember, a JST plug or something like that. But the way that these wires are laid out, it's actually a high probability of crimping it if you do open and close this. So I want to see what they did here. So this battery door, it's got a better click to it. So it's got a good click to it when it closes. They're still using this, but they have used some shrink wrap on the cable. So that in and of itself, that small change is quite a big deal. And then we have a 2000 milliamp hour. Yeah, you see way less of a click when you close that. Anyway, okay, so I've got my tweezers and my spudger and my other spudger ready, and I am going to figure out how to change the buttons. Okay, got that out. All right, so that goes like that. Okay, got a few screws here. So what I'll do when I take these screws out, I'll just make sure that they are the same length. Because if they are different lengths, I just got to make sure that I put the right screw in the right place. Yeah, they're all the same length, so that saves a bit of hassle. So this is just attached by little clips. That looks like a vibration motor there. That's your SD card reader there. Headphone jack, USB-C cable. Okay, now with something like this, you've always just got to be sure that, if you're not pulling on any ribbon cables, that, you're not messing up the screen or anything like that. So as I pull this off, just got to be very careful. So, okay, so there's a bit of resistance. So what I think I'm just going to have to remove this electrical tape. Be careful not to pry the ribbon cable. So just get the tape off. And I've damaged it a little bit, but we'll be able to use that again. And now these ribbon cables just have a little clip. So you just got to lift the clip gently. There, feel it lift. And now the ribbon cable will just pop out. So later we'll just slide that in and reattach that. That, I think, is the ribbon cable for the screen. So if we pull too much, we're going to cause some issues there. And now we've got the volume button in there. So we just got to pull up here and pull away. And that should just check. Yeah, there's no other cables. So once that ribbon cable is detached, we're good to go. A, B, X, Y. And that's for your D-pad. Interesting that they've gone for this design for the D-pad, which would avoid any false diagonals. So that is an interesting design. Okay, so what you also need to do is, these might not be interchangeable, so just to be safe, I'm just going to put these there so that I can put them back later. The power button fell out, so just got to be careful there. So just be sure to put that power button back in place when you close it. Okay, now we pull the D-pad out. These buttons do not have an orientation. You'll see there's no notch in them to keep them in a specific position. It's just the function button. I don't know if they gave me a function button. I'll check now. So yeah, so we can, the buttons are interchangeable, and all my buttons are gold, so I don't really need to worry about which one goes where. So you would just have to check, in terms of color where you want them to go, but in terms of orientation, there's no specific button that goes anywhere. Okay, so I'm putting the old buttons aside. And here I see they've even provided a power button. It's a different design, so I need to just check that that's going to work okay. Our D-pad also seems to be interchangeable, so we're just going to put our D-pad in there for now. We're going to get all our buttons in. We have a little function button. Drop that in there. And then we also have little custom start and select buttons, so we're going to pop those in. Okay, there's one. So here, just make sure that the rubber goes around these little pins here, because now your buttons are pushing up because it's facing down. So just make sure this is on, and then the rest will fall into place when you fit it. Put that there. Nice thing about the thing I like about this backplate, it doesn't have those clips that click, because you can break those, and don't really hate that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to slot the volume button into its slot. There. Make sure that's in. And then just check everything else. There's a whole lot of little pins that guide you into position, so just make sure everything is good. Make sure that your little clip is still up. And then just slide the ribbon cable back in. Maybe get some tweezers, let's see. I think just using my hands is going to be better. So you'll feel resistance. Don't push too hard, but you'll feel the ribbon cable just stop. Then it's fine. And then you just push that little thing close. You'll feel a little bit of resistance. Sometimes it'll feel a nice click, but just make sure it's flat. And then that ribbon cable is reattached. So that should be fine. So I'm going to put that on. That's just to keep the ribbon cable in place and to avoid any interference, I think. There we go. All right, everything looks like it's in the correct position. Now we're going to put the back on. I have used all the buttons. Yes, used all the buttons. Pop that on. So there's a little bit of springiness on the left here, but there was springiness when I unscrewed it. So, okay, so drop all the screws in, and now we just gently tighten. Don't over tighten. Remember, this is a plastic device. So as soon as you feel resistance, just stop. Okay, so I'm just having a look here for any unnecessary gaps. It looks good. I'm going to plug it in. I'm being careful not to give the big reveal away. So here, you've just got to make sure what happens is you'll see the pins are at the bottom and the holes are on that side. So make sure that you put the plug in the correct orientation. Okay, so here what you just need to be careful of is crimping this power cable. So just make sure it kind of settles in there again, and then it's not going to get caught in the clip or anything. It looks good to me. I use these tweezers just to push this plug down, the JST plug or whatever it's called. Okay, and then we put the back door on. There we go. And now, haha. Good grief. That looks so freaking good. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much to LITNXT because this is just something special. This is a collector's item for me. I now have a custom Miyoo Mini with gold buttons. If you want to do this, I'm just shamelessly going to show them because this is such a cool thing. You go to them, you order some buttons, you can contact them and do a custom order. This is so cool, man. So that's it. That's a how-to on how to do this. I will probably be doing a video about the firmware. Thanks so much for watching.